start with your floor molds, or wall molds is what we're using too. A clean-ish cup, 3/4 cup of water, and enough plaster. You'll know when you start pouring the plaster whether it's mixed enough or not. I'll explain that a little more in a minute. Pour it till you just see this, where it's just underneath the surface. And then you mix it. Now we let it sit for a minute or two before I actually pour it in the mold. And I'm actually not going to pour it because I'm having to hold my cell phone to take this video, so I'm not going to pour it and show you that. I'm just going to pour it in the molds and then show you what it looks like afterwards. Now that all the molds are filled, well, mostly filled, you're going to bang the table. Some people use like something that actually bangs the table for them, or vibrates the table for them, but we just bang the table. It works just as well. The purpose of it is to get the air bubbles to come to the top and get the water to come to the top. And as you can see, I made a giant mess, so always do this on something you don't care about making a mess on. I'll show you the next step in a minute. Lay a towel on the wet plaster to try to soak up some of the water on top. Now, my molds, I didn't fill them correctly this first try. That happens sometimes. So you can see that the molds are kind of sinking back in a little bit. But for me, that's okay because I just build with them anyway, so it doesn't bother me any. For other people, they like to be perfect and smooth across the top. So lay it off. Just let it sit there, let it soak up the water, and then gently pull back on it. And you can see it soaked up all that water. You can do this a couple times with a couple pieces of paper if you want to. Tissue or paper towels. I generally only do it twice. And then after that's done, I take this, which I think is actually used for drywall, and at a 45-degree angle, scrape the plaster in one sweeping motion to make it in straight across, and it's easier to clean up. I'll do that in a second. Again, I couldn't actually show you the process of scraping it because I had to use two hands. But you can see the difference between scraped and not, and from the previous video of not scraped. And then we just let it sit until it completely congeals. Like right now, if I press down on this, you can see how it's kind of coming up at the top. We want it to be completely, pretty much dry all the way through. So when we get to that point, I'll show you the difference. Okay, like I said, you don't have to bake these. We do, because it makes them harder faster. We put them in the toaster oven at 300 degrees on bake for an hour. You can do it in your actual oven, and this is baked bread. Yay, it smells delicious. I wish you could smell it. Anyways, we stick it in the toaster oven. Turn it on for an hour and walk away. Some people say that these will make like a really stinky smell when you're baking them, but we don't smell it in the toaster oven. You can let them air dry, but it takes like 2 weeks to dry properly. So this is where I'm going to finish off at. I'm going to make something for you guys. But this is really hard to see. This is kind of what we'll be getting to. It's something like this. If you saw my last YouTube video, you'll see where I actually show you all the way through this dungeon. These are new. I just made these. They're not finished. But we'll get back to the building in just a minute. So right now we're doing the Pathfinder module called Thornkeep. And what you saw on the table was for the Enigma vaults, which is what I built originally. What I'm going to be building next is Sanctum of a Lost Age. This is what the map looks like. This is what I use to make the giant map, which I'll be making on a giant piece of foam board like this one. This one's been cut and utilized for other things. So today I'm just going to make probably a piece from this that I can just attach onto it later. Like a big room that I'm going to need at some point. Like maybe this room or something. I'll figure out something. Or I'll just make a little teeny tiny piece to show you guys. But I can't do it with the camera in my hand because I have to use two hands. So you'll be seeing it at different stages just like you did with me making the tiles. This over here is where we keep all our tiles after they're baked. We just keep them in these little drawers, each of them in their own section. Makes it easier for us to utilize them later. So what we do to start out with is we take some floor tiles. I might be able to do this with two hands, with one hand. Take some floor tiles, I'm going to flip this for a second, and just lay them out in whatever pattern we're planning on doing. Let me get a few more. And you can rearrange the cracks on them so that way the cracks look like they meet up, or you can just leave them like this. And then you take some walls. We have a lot of 3 brick walls. And you take the walls. Sorry, I'm pretty sure I'm making everyone nauseous. You just line the wall up. And you're probably thinking to yourself, why aren't you gluing it down? Well, because usually when we were making these modular, we would want to make sure that they were the right length and make sure we had everything the right way on it before we actually cut the tile out. So we would lay all the pieces out like this with all the walls, and then we would take a pen, which I don't have one near me, and draw around the outside of it, and then we would take a razor knife, just a box cutter razor knife, and cut just on the inside of the line. Like you can see a line here. Cut just on the inside of the line, so that way when I do glue these on, they're glued over it just a little bit, over the lip, so that way it just kind of looks like one piece. So that's what I would do. And I think what I might do is actually just cut off this piece here, figure out how big it is, and then decide if I can use that for part of a section of the next part of Thorn Keep. So I will come back once I've made something, and I'll take pictures and intersperse those before I actually discuss it. Be back in a bit. Okay, so far I've made this room, and this room, and that's about it. There's a door here, and a door there. So here's where the door goes, here's the other door, and the last door is back here. You'll notice that I used half tiles. I would have actually used full tiles, but this is literally all the tiles that I had in this drawer. It's empty. And then here's the walls. I've laid it out. These are not glued down yet because I like to at least lay it out first to see if it'll fit. I have no more tiles, so I'm just going to glue this down. And all I use is just regular Elmer's glue. You can use tacky glue, you can use super glue, you can use whatever you like. We use Elmer's glue, and let me tell you, this stuff does not come off. My husband tried to pull a piece off one time when I forgot to make a door, and he had to use a pair of pliers to pull it off. So there you go. That's the video of how to make stuff. And that's it. I'm not going to take any more after gluing it down because that just seems ridiculous. So if you guys like it, feel free to subscribe. Look at any of my other videos if you like. Most of my old ones are of me singing. I'm starting to do new ones of me building stuff. And check out HurstArts.com for their molds. They are awesome. And there are millions of other videos on how to use the molds, which is why I didn't go into really huge detail on that. So, hope you liked it. And feel free to go on and play games with your friends. I definitely recommend Dungeons & Dragons. I love that game. And I'm assuming that's why you're watching this video, is because you play it too. So, but have a good night. Bye.